Member of the Intelligence Committee, Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Good morning.
Tom Cotton,
good to be on with you.
We thank you for being with us, Tom.
Appreciate it.
We were looking for a Republican, and I told them that it only took the 14th verse of Just As I Am to get you to come on. But you actually said it was my singing, so I appreciate that.
Before we get going, Joe, Mika, I haven't been on the air since your dad died, and I just want to express my condolences. He was a great scholar, a great statesman, did a lot for this country. He was a true icon of the Democratic Cold War era, and was really someone that we could all learn a lot from. And I know that it's always sad when your father passes away, but I hope you can celebrate that as a life well lived.
We do, and thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I know we saw you shortly before he passed away, and we were hoping things would turn for the better, but you are right about his legacy. Thank you very much. Joe?
So, Senator, we heard a lot from Senator Sessions yesterday, a lot of I don't recall, I don't remember. What was your biggest concern, or what was your biggest takeaway from that hearing?
Joe, the biggest takeaway I had is that we started 6 months ago on the Intelligence Committee. The FBI started 11 months ago investigating serious allegations of collusion between Donald Trump and his campaign associates and Russian intelligence services and hacking into those emails and releasing them. And now Jim Comey has confirmed on the record that Donald Trump is not a target of investigation. And two senior Democrats on the Intelligence Committee have confirmed that we've seen no evidence of that collusion. And I just think that we need to focus on those underlying claims. Now, the investigations are not over. Bob Mueller, I assume, is looking into these, and the Intelligence Committee is as well, and we'll follow the facts where they take us. But that's what's at the heart of these investigations, and that's where they stand right now.
All right, one of your favorite authors is with us, David Ignatius, and he has a question for you. David.
Senator, on the question of Russian activities, you have been from the beginning convinced that we're looking at a serious Russian effort to meddle in our election process. And I want to ask you to focus on the thing that, as we've been hearing, the Attorney General and President Trump have not focused on so much, and that's what the Russians did and what we can do about it. This is something I know you take seriously. Where are you on that part of the investigation now?
Well, David, Russia is not our friend. They never have been. Hacking into those emails and releasing them is of a piece with the kind of deception and subversion efforts they've run for decades as the Soviet Union and as Russia as well. It's consistent with what they did in 1983 to try to prevent NATO from deploying intermediate-range nuclear forces to NATO, consistent with what I assume they're doing right now throughout not just Western elections, but also Western military buildups and nuclear modernization and so forth. So we should take these threats seriously, and I would suggest that we should focus on those serious threats that Russia poses to the United States and to our allies. I didn't see that that committee hearing yesterday doing those things.
But Senator, doesn't that require the committee to look very carefully at any possibility of contact, collusion, those issues, which you were saying enough already? I mean, isn't that a central issue that needs to be resolved by Special Counsel Mueller?
Well, of course, David, as I said, our investigation is not complete. We have many more interviews to conduct. I assume Bob Mueller is doing the same thing, but it is simply a fact that Jim Comey has confirmed that Donald Trump has never been a target of these investigations, and that two senior Democrats on the Intelligence Committee have said we've so far seen no evidence of that kind of collusion between Donald Trump or his senior campaign associates. Again, we'll follow the facts where they take us to the end of this investigation, but that's where things stand now.
Clint Watts.
Senator Cotton, one of the things that did come up yesterday was Attorney General Sessions is one of the most experienced senators, before he came on board. And he oftentimes cited DOJ policy or DOJ tradition for not answering questions yesterday. But one DOJ policy that's actually there is that it's the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General that will always brief the President of the United States on ongoing investigations. Yet Sessions said yesterday he did not see a major problem with FBI Director Comey being left in the Oval Office alone with President Trump. I wondered what you thought about that. Do you see that as a problem?
Well, first, Clint, let me address the point about Attorney General Sessions, and for that matter, Mike Rogers and Dan Coats last week. declining to characterize their conversations with the president. I don't think the only options are you have to spill the beans on everything you said with the president of the United States, or you have to invoke executive privilege, particularly when you're appearing voluntarily as all these witnesses do. This is part of the normal give and take of the separation of powers. It happened under the Obama administration. It happened under the Bush administration. In fact, Monday night, in an extraordinary setting, late in the evening,
right,
Mike Rogers came in to testify in a classified setting.
I think the question, though, Senator, not to cut you off, was what about leaving the FBI director in with the president when the attorney general is the FBI director's boss? And that's standard policy and actual DOJ policy.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that Jim Comey expressed his misgivings about being in that meeting alone. But Jim Comey testified that he was the person that first requested a private meeting with the president on January 6th. Donald Trump didn't request that meeting as president-elect. Jim Comey did. And I have to wonder if he set a precedent in the president's mind that it was appropriate to meet with the FBI director one-on-one, since Jim Comey is the one who asked for the first one-on-one meeting.
Okay, Bianna?
Well, Senator, I understand your line of questioning when you were talking about conspiracy theories and science fiction, but couldn't you also understand why people a few years ago would have seen sort of the details as they've come out now be something out of a Jason Bourne movie as well, or book? I mean, you have Russian diplomats in the Oval Office. The photos we received only because Russian media was allowed in. The president's telling him that he just fired the FBI director, calling him a nut job. Russia infiltrating our election system. We're learning more and more details about how in-depth that operation really is. Were you undermining the actual issue and crisis, as I would describe it, at hand?
Bianna, we had that hearing yesterday because Jim Comey insinuated last week that there's some kind of nefarious intelligence about what may have happened at the Mayflower Hotel between Jeff Sessions and the Russian ambassador. Jeff Sessions flatly refuted that yesterday. And my point was, David Ignatius would never get a manuscript accepted. He would never become a New York Times bestseller if the plot line was a sitting United States senator and a Russian ambassador are colluding in front of hundreds of people at a hotel, including the media, to pull off the greatest caper in the history of espionage. Now, we've looked at a lot of other aspects of this matter, and we're going to continue to look at it and follow the facts where they take us. But that is just a preposterous theory that is being spun out in some of the far corners of the left.
I'd argue everything we've seen is preposterous thus far, too, though, Senator.
Senator Cotton?
Well, Mika, you can have your opinion about these things, and I won't share all those opinions. But my point yesterday is we need to focus on the underlying allegations at hand, and we need to get to the bottom of those. That's what we've been doing for 6 months. That's what we'll continue to do. But ultimately, if the facts are what they appear to be right now, our focus needs to be on the problems the American people sent us here to solve.
Yeah, no, totally
Tom,
understand, and I appreciate your being on.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tom, that was, by the way, that was Bianna that was talking before. I know it's loud there.
Oh, I apologize.
A lot of things are going on. No, that's okay. We greatly appreciate you being with us. Always love having you on.
Very much.
And we are especially thankful this morning that the beard is off.
Yes.
And we hope that hope it'll stay off.
It's too hot for a beard, but please, no more singing in the morning for Joe.
Okay,
We'll try
well,
and stop
it worked this morning. All right. Thank you so much, Tom Cotton. Greatly appreciate it. Mika, what do we have?